Hi there booktube, it's Eleanor here, and I'm going to be starting my sort of vlogs really, or my up-to-date reading vlogs. So what I'm planning on doing to see how this goes is that when I finish a book I'm going to talk about it straight away and film it, and then put those together in sort of 2 weekly videos and see how we get on. I do find that sometimes if I leave my thoughts, I don't always write them down. I find that they're not fresh enough in my mind, and then when I come to talk about the books I really struggle. So I have just finished my first book of 2018, and that is Starfish by Akemi Dawn Bowman. I really enjoyed this book. We're following our main character Kiko. She is extremely nervy, and she lives in a household with her and there's her two brothers. One is away at university or college, they're in America, and the other is younger than her and still at home. They live with their mother, who is a narcissist, to put it mildly, and she only thinks about herself. She makes Kiko feel very unworthy and like she's not worth loving, and it's a really sad story in that respect. You start to follow Kiko. She's just finishing school. She finds out that she didn't get into her dream art school that she'd applied for, and she feels like she's flailing. She's really set her heart on this art school. It's the thing that she thinks is going to save her, that she can get away, start a new life, and that's going to be the escape that she needs to become the person she wants to be, and to release herself from the grip of this mother that has made her feel so worthless. And there's other things that have gone on that we find out in the story, so I won't spoil that by talking about those. But this really is a story of self-discovery. A young man comes back into Kiko's life who was a childhood friend, and helps her to start looking into other options of what she might do now that she knows she's not got into this art school. Now that isn't a spoiler. We find out quite early on that she hasn't got into the art school, and the whole story is her discovering what it is that she wants to do, working out how to be her own person, starting to gain some confidence in herself and stand up for herself, and to really sort of start to remove those shackles that her mother has placed around her of making her feel worthless. I thought this was really good. I struggle sometimes to connect with books where the main protagonist is quite artistic. It's something that I don't have any experience of. I'm not very artistic. I can appreciate art and I enjoy looking at art, but I'm not a connoisseur of art, and I wouldn't say that I'm someone that really fully appreciates art as well as I would like, probably. But I felt like the way that the author sort of drew you into the art world in this was really good. At the end of every chapter, or most of the chapters, we're given a sentence, and it's just obviously something that Kiko is doing in her art book, her sketchbook. So I've just opened it to a random page here, and it says, "I paint a girl confronting the monster under her bed who really isn't so scary after all." Here, another random page, "I draw a girl in love with a snowman at the beginning of spring." So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed how those little tidbits made you think, I wonder how she would draw that, or what that would look like, and it really made me imagine those things as well, and it made me see how she was turning her reality into her artwork, which I really enjoyed. Another thing that I really enjoyed in here was the look at race and biracial families, and that feeling of not fitting in, how others might perceive you, how others might make you feel, how this might make you feel yourself, finding your identity and your culture, and embracing that, and what it is like to feel different and feel like you don't look like everybody else. Our main character in this is half Japanese, And I thought that was really interesting in itself. And her father is the Japanese parent, and so he's not living with her, so she doesn't get any influences from that side of the family, and her father was the only part of the family, like his family, the rest of his family weren't around, so she didn't have that sense of identity and someone she could find out those stories about her cultural heritage from, which I thought was really interesting. So all in all, I really enjoyed this. There were some tense moments, there were some moments where I felt angry for her, and moments where I felt happiness. There wasn't enough for me to give this 5 stars. I don't know why, it just, yeah, there just wasn't quite enough to give it 5 stars. However, I did read this in one day, so it's definitely a page turner and a book I didn't want to put down, and it's a really strong 4 stars. So 4 stars from me, and I'm off to pick up my next book of the year, and I've got to go and put my money in the Bookopoly jar and fill out my spreadsheet, so I will let you know a bit more about that at the end of the month. But for now, I'm off to pick my next book, and I'll see you in a bit. Hi guys, so I've just finished my next book, and that is Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. And I was told when I was given this ARC that it was tipped to be the new Harry Potter, and I always think that is a really terrible way to describe a book, because it sets your expectations at a certain level. I think it also means that you go in with certain expectations, and I think in some ways, because we all love Harry Potter so much, you go in wanting it to be not as good as Harry Potter, or to pick holes in it, and to say how it's not as good as Harry Potter, and therefore you don't go in with the right mindset for the book. So I tried to detach myself from that when I read this, and in fact, because that was in my head, I was thinking to myself, no, I'm going to give it a fair chance. It might not be for me. Don't go in thinking about Harry Potter and, you know, any ways it might be similar, because there are so many books out there with children that have something special, that come from bad backgrounds, that then go on to do trials, to become wonderful, and to, you know, save the day. And, you know, there is just one Harry Potter. So let's ignore that for now and actually talk about the book that we want to talk about. Nevermore is about Morrigan Crow. She lives in a world where she's pretty much hated. She is what's called cursed, which is a child that is born on Eventide. If you're born on this day, you're considered a cursed child. Her family thinks she's a bit of a waste of space, really. Her father is just, you know, upset with her all the time. It's hampering his political career, having a child that's cursed. He's constantly having to fork out money for people that's crops have been ruined because, you know, of her curse, or someone's dropped dead because she sneezed on them, or she looked someone in the eye last week and their pet rabbit got cold or died, and so he's having to fork out money, and so she's not really very well cared for, and she knows that on the next Eventide she is tipped, or she's going to die, and that normally comes around their 12th birthday. Something happens that's sped up a little bit. She's whisked away by a gingerhead stranger to this place called Nevermore, and in Nevermore she is taken by Jupiter, this stranger, to a massive hotel where magical things happen, and she is told that in order to sort of save herself and to truly not ever have to go back to where she comes from, she needs to become part of the Wondrous Society, and in order to do that she needs to face 4 trials, and the 4th trial itself is to show everybody what your knack is, so what your special ability is, whether it's dragon riding or fortune telling, or talking to animals, or making it rain, or sewing at 2,000 miles an hour. Whatever your knack is the final trial, and Morrigan doesn't know what her knack is, and I don't want to say any more than that, but that is where the book takes us. It takes us from the start, finding about Morrigan, and then through these trials we learn about the different characters. There's a talking giant cat, there is people with all sorts of abilities. There is people that are nice, people are not so nice. We find out more about this world, about this place that she's living in, where there's this hotel she's living in. There's a smoking room, which isn't a smoking room like you would think, where people go to smoke. It's a room where there is smoke pumped in, almost like a steam room, where the smoke is different scents and flavours in order to sort of help with certain things depending on the mood of the day. If they've had a massive Christmas dinner, there might be peppermint smoke in there to help with digestion. And it's just really magical, and Jessica Townsend has done a wonderful job of creating this world. And it's very difficult, I think, to create, and with the kids that I work with at school, we're currently doing story writing, and we're teaching them about showing and not telling, and I think that's really important in stories. And it's a really difficult thing to get right, is to show people and not tell them. And Jessica Townsend has the perfect amount of showing in here, and the telling comes in ever so slightly occasionally, but really she does a great job of showing us this world. We feel like we're there. I could picture it, I could smell it, I could yeah, and I think that's a real talent, and she manages to move the story forward at a pace. I felt engaged the whole time. I wanted to pick it up. I took it everywhere with me until I'd read it. So I couldn't not give this one 5 stars. The only disappointing thing is I don't know how long I'm going to have to wait for the second instalment. So a really good book. I really enjoyed it. And this will be, not because it's middle grade, it won't be going on my YA part of my Bookopoly board. I will be putting it onto my science fiction and fantasy, because it is a fantasy, and so that will be hitting the first mark for me on my science fiction and fantasy part of the board, so I'm excited about that. If you don't know what I'm talking about here, check out, I'll link my Bookopoly video so you know what Bookopoly is. But a brilliant book, 5 stars, definitely recommend, and I'll catch you with my next one in a bit. Hi guys, so I've just finished my next read, and that is See How They Lie by Sue Woolman. This was a YA thriller, or that was what it was sort of said to be, I suppose, or marketed to be. It's the story of May, and she's always, as far as she remembers, lived in this place which is a psychiatric unit for young people. She is one of the staff's children, but they live on site, and almost instantly you know that she's living somewhere where people don't go out. She's slightly brainwashed into the way that things are. They do a lot of exercise, they take these vitamin tablets, they have strict rotas and regimes, and yet on the other side it's almost like a health spa. There's amazing facials and spa treatments and state-of-the-art facilities. And basically, because I don't want to spoil the story, it's not that long a book, we're just following things as May starts to question what's going on around her, and questions her life as she's getting older and what is going on there, and starts to delve a little bit more into that. And we follow some of the patients around her and some of her friends, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't love it. I found myself wanting to pick it up because I did want to find out a bit more. I kind of guessed a little bit what was going on. It never felt actually like a mystery to me, but there were definitely thrilling elements. I did feel that build of suspense and that sort of tension for May, and I did feel that aspect in there. I just didn't feel the mystery. There was no twists and turns that I hadn't really thought about. I kind of knew a lot of these things already, so that side of it was lacking for me. I would say if you're looking for sort of a fun, fast, thrilling book, a bit of a page turner, although nothing out of the ordinary and nothing too mysterious, or no big twists and reveals, then this would be a good book. But for me, it was a 3-star read. It was a good read, but it's definitely not one that's going to hit my top books of the year. I'll definitely see what other books this author has written at some point, but I certainly won't be rushing out for them. I just needed a little bit more. I needed a bit more character development. I needed a little bit more plot, and a few twists in there would have been good. It felt a little bit too transparent for me. Anyway, that's the last few books, or the first few books of this year that I've read. I've decided that I'm going to be filming my wrap-ups. I was going to do them sort of 2 a month, and it may turn out that there are 2 a month, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about 3 books and then upload these videos, because I think that makes them not too long, although when I edit this down maybe they're going to be too long, I don't know. But those are the ones so far. Keep your eye out for my wrap up at the end of every month to find out how I'm doing on the Bookopoly, which properties that I've got, how much money I've put in my jar. I'll be doing all that in my end of month wrap ups, but I'm going to go and put that one onto my Bookopoly board now, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Bye for now, BookTube.